made in reducing new infections in HIV in the country, with the statistics showing that about 275 young girls are getting infected with HIV weekly. This comes at a time when different stakeholders have given a nod to the use of Rapavin, which is a preventative option of HIV, especially to young women and adolescent girls. Kenya joins the rest of the world in marking World AIDS Day today.
We have made so much progress, we have made so much gains. But COVID-19, because of disruption of services, because of weak health systems, could potentially reverse the gains by 10 years, according to UNAIDS report. With the pandemic, now we have about 275 young girls getting infected with HIV every week. That is the data that we have.
We need to address the barriers to access. As a country, we know adolescents, for example, do not have sufficient access to information to be able to make informed decisions.
As a program, we would want to ensure that we are supporting integration of reproductive and sexual health, because from an assessment that was done in 2010, the Kenya Health Provision Assessment, the assessment showed that only 7% of health facilities offer youth-friendly services in the facilities, and that is worrying.
When we look at the existing products currently, we have PrEP, oral PrEP, which is a very effective product, but has proven very difficult to access as a young woman due to issues of age of consent, the locations at which PrEP is being offered. For instance, currently I only know of PrEP being offered at the CCCs, and even when you go to this CCC, you have to provide very many personal information for you to even qualify to get this PrEP. So half the time you spend a whole day at the facility, and you may not even be able to get the drug that you're looking for at the end of it all. The new product is not coming to replace the ones that exist. The new product is coming to complement the products that exist.
All right, and well, we are going to also just involve you with a question, and would like to find out your take. And do you know your HIV status? If not, what is keeping you from being tested? Do you know your HIV status? If not, what is keeping you from being tested? And the hashtag is KTN Morning Express. If you'd like to tweet it at KTN News KE, or you can tweet me directly, and that's at Michael G. Gitonga. Do you know your HIV status? If not, what is keeping you from being tested? This morning, as we have this discussion, we are joined by Dr. Wekesa. Dr. Wekesa is the CEO for Center for Health Solutions Kenya, and it is an organization that, of course, is in the forefront of ensuring they keep matters to do with HIV in check. And thank you for joining us, Dr. Wekesa. Good morning.
Good morning, Michael. Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's start off from maybe just this, given that it's your field and it's what you do on a daily basis. How would you rate the progress that we have made in regards to HIV and AIDS in terms of knowledge, in terms of prevention, in terms of people knowing their status and keeping healthy?
Michael, I know we have made a lot of reference to the current report from the National AIDS Control Council, and we must interpret that report using a bigger, in the bigger scale, because looking at the 2020 Global AIDS Report, Kenya is actually listed among 25 countries that have made tremendous progress. Of course, any new infection is one too many. However, we must look at it in the context of significant reduction in mortality, over 59% reduction in mortality since 2010, and also a 44% reduction in new infections since the 2010 baseline. That tells you, and also another important metric is the incident prevalent metric that has Kenya among the 25 countries that are on track to transition to a control, from epidemic to control. And that's one of the things that we are all working together on to achieve epidemic control. Those are encouraging things in terms of statistics for the Kenyan epidemic. However, we still have a lot more to go. Until we close the tap, which is the new infections, and ensure that all of those who are infected are identified, diagnosed, and put on treatment, we will still have a continuing growing epidemic, which is really not where we want to be. We want to control the epidemic of HIV.
We'll get to COVID-19, and of course COVID-19 has had an effect on the prevalence and various ways, but we'll get to that. But there's an interesting article that I'd like to draw your attention and get your comments on, which is on the Standard today, which says HIV shocker, schoolgirls hit hard by new infections as AIDS kills 57 every single day. Let's start with why schoolgirls are the ones who seem to be hit hard, and secondly, 57 every day is a very high number in this day and age, in my opinion.
I agree with you. 57 is a high number. Even one death is high enough, because you know what? These are affecting the most productive in society. These are the young people. We need the young people to be healthy and productive for the future of the nation, and that's why it's an important thing. We cannot take it lightly at all. So here's the thing. As I said, one new infection is one too many, and we must close the tap. So about the 17% new infections in the young people aged 15 to 19, and an cumulative about 40% among those who are below the age of 29. I mean, that is a big statistic for us, and it says a lot of things. We must relate that to other statistics among the same age group. So for example, we know the issue of early sexual debut, particularly in the rural communities, is a significant issue. 1 in 5 young women or adolescent girls has been pregnant or has had early marriage or has been defiled. And those things contribute to the new infections, because these are vulnerable members of society, and our health system must respond to the specific needs of adolescents, the specific needs of young people, to ensure that we have preventive initiatives that work for them and that are friendly to them, to ensure that they actually get treatment, they actually get diagnosis, they actually get prevention interventions that work for them. And we are at the forefront of implementing some of these key initiatives for adolescents and young people.
And well, allow us to take a short break here and just pay some bills, but we're going to continue with Dr. Wekesa. A quick reminder of that question that we're asking is, do you know your HIV status? If not, what is keeping you from being tested? When we come back, Dr. Wekesa, we're going to be looking at the question of stigma, whether there is still stigma, whether the information we have now is still out there, because at some point there was huge campaigns in regards to HIV and AIDS, but that seems to have either taken a slump or maybe it has been overtaken by events. So we're going to be looking at that. But the question is, do you know your HIV status? And if not, what is keeping you from being tested? We take a break. We'll be right back.
This is KTN News.